Welcome back, weary dreamer. Tonight, the swamp remembers for you. Tonight, the vines cradle the cracks you keep hidden behind polite nods and practiced laughs. Here, nothing demands you stay strong. Here, even old griefs find moss to curl up in, and permission to breathe for once without shame. Close your eyes. Let your shoulders drop. Let the hush wrap around you the way it wraps around Stillmourne. Soft, damp, and too patient to care if you leak a little sorrow into its roots. Tonight, you don't have to break wide open. You don't have to shine or explain. You just have to stay. Exactly as unfinished, exactly as quietly brave as you already are. The CareCats are here. And the moth is here. And you're exactly where you're meant to be. Now drift deeper. Let's begin. Chapter 8 of Moths, Masks, and Minor Emotional Collapses, Sleep Edition. Fractures in the fabric. Shh. Tonight, the swamp doesn't roar. It hums patient and damp. A living blanket wrapped around every secret you swore you'd locked behind your ribs for just a little longer. Beneath the moss, beneath the hush, something dares to crack. A hairline fracture inside Stillmourne's glass coffin. It's not loud, but here. Even a whisper in the wrong place feels scandalous. The crack slithers through roots that once swore silence was safer. It burrows deep under the fog, curling around hidden regrets like a hoarder clutching old love letters they'd never send. It slips behind CareCat ears, tugs at half-sleeping minds, nudging them awake. Even polished grief longs to breathe. Somewhere in this damp hush, a vine recoils so dramatically it slaps a passing frog. The frog squeaks, drops its emotional support worm, and watches it wriggle away into a puddle of its own soggy regrets. Sadness flowers bloom wider than they dare on normal nights. They sniffle. They sigh. One tries to clap for effect, but nature never gave them hands, so they flap their petals awkwardly. Then, a sharp hush slices through the fog. That's enough. Queen Velvet's voice. Sharp, regal, unbothered by your tender mess. One lacquered claw slices the air like a silk guillotine. The royal version of, "Shut up, sit pretty, don't spill the family secret in front of the frogs." But rumors never listen. Cracks are contagious. And secrets slip quicker than vines can crawl. Inside Stillmourne's sealed belly, the moth flexes. Once, twice, a tiny rebellion in a swamp addicted to composure. A real breath. Stillmourne blinks. Once, twice. Her lashes tremble like fragile gates creaking open to an ache she no longer has the strength to keep caged. Her shoulders shiver. Not from cold, but from the sheer foreignness of allowing her bones to remember how to move without permission. And then, she exhales. It's not the kind of sigh that begs for your pity, wrapped in petty and performative elegance. It is not the tidy breath of a queen so terrified of ruin she breathes only in rehearsed lines to keep her crown balanced on fur grown too heavy for perfection. No, this is raw, sticky. A mortifyingly honest rush of air tearing its way through a ribcage that spent too many seasons locked tight around secrets that deserve to wail at the moon. It scrapes against the insides of her throat like a lost apology. It tastes like old regrets and new moss and the terrifying relief of no longer pretending to be unbreakable. Melon Kitty, gentle as dusk draping its cloak over a restless pond, pads forward on paws that have carried thousands of quiet heartbreaks and never once dropped them. Her voice so soft it makes the fog lean in closer to listen. Do you maybe want to sit? The swamp itself pauses to catch the echo. A moss poof, round and forgiving, puffs up at Stillmourne's trembling feet. It smells faintly of lavender and old secrets buried shallow, the kind that poke up through the soil when you least expect them, asking, "Are you ready to feel this yet?" Stillmourne's knees buckle. Grace leaves her body in the best possible way. There is no royal posture now, only the honest collapse of a soul so tired of curtsying to shame. She sinks down into the poof, like dusk curling around its own shadows, not caring at all who watches her fall apart so beautifully. And then, the smallest mercies arrive. Tiny, deliberate kindnesses, each shaped by a CareCat paw, delivered without fuss, without fanfare. Gloomper, soft as the final stroke of dusk across a tired sky, steps forward. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. She presses a single petal into Stillmourne's paw, a weightless promise that softness survives storms too. Gremlin, normally a screech wrapped in sarcasm, says nothing for once, her eyes suspiciously dry but shining with unsaid solidarity. Slide a chipped mug into Stillmourne's other paw. On the side, the cracked letters read, "Crisis Juice." Steam rises in lazy swirls, an invisible handshake between two creatures who know the taste of chaos too well to judge it. Sassburn's tail, usually a tongue of flame ready to torch an illusion, dips lower. It flickers, not gone, just tempered, a warm ember by her side, whispering without words. No sudden burns tonight, we promise. Around them, the swamp listens so intently it forgets to breathe. Somewhere the sadness flowers lean closer, petals dripping dew like unleashed tears for someone else's ache. A frog peeks out from behind a leaf, clutching its emotional support worm once more, not daring to interrupt its trembling peace. Queen Velvet stands stiff, eyes narrowed into slits sharp enough to slice truth from fiction. Her hiss drips envy like venom in a chalice. You're letting it win. Stillmourne breathes again. This time, the breath shakes less. Glass vibrates under her fur, the sound of courage echoing in a body that forgot what soft defiance feels like. Her voice cracks, but does not collapse. No, I'm letting it out. One heartbeat later. Crack! Sharper now. Not the final shatter, but a promise. The coffin's fracture crawls further, a crooked smile across the belly that dared to lock away her moth. And inside, wings flutter. Not free yet, but certain now that glass cannot win forever. Shifting tides. The delusion bunnies hiccup glitter stickers across the roots. A repressipus twitches so hard its mask nearly drops. Pretentia clutches her clipboard like bullet points that could keep her dry in this flood of honesty. Velvet's voice brittle as porcelain fangs. If you break open, you can't be trusted. You'll drown this place in unfinished grief again. Stillmourne, voice steady as pond bedrock. Maybe some of us need to leak. Repressipuses, withdraw. Now. Velvet snaps her command. Stiff paws shuffle, turning the hush into an awkward tap dance of regret and obedience. One repressipus pauses mid-step. Her glassy eyes, hidden behind a mask of untouched grief, flick toward Stillmourne. Stillmourne blinks back, soft, slow, a code only the quietly broken can read. In the background, vines uncoil. The hush regrows green. The motivational calendar pinned to a tree combusts halfway through. This year is yours. Gremlin glares at the ash, mumbling about overrated positivity quotes, flickering moss bits off her fur. Seeds of change. The swamp breathes, slowly, thickly, as if every tangled root and hidden pond has been waiting lifetimes for someone to sit this still and not apologize for it. For the first time in too many seasons, it doesn't just breathe around her, it breathes with her. Her inhale ripples through moss veins. Her exhale swirls the mist like an old lullaby the cattails haven't hummed since before they learned to stand tall. Vines, once restless and suspicious of her silence, loosen their coiled gossip and drape along her spine like a damp, forgiving hug. They dare to trust her weight, should she decide to lean just a little deeper into the mud and drift all the way to sleep. Moss thickens beneath her paws, fluffing itself despite its soggy nature, secretly hoping she'll tip too far and let it hold her entirely. As if to say, even ruin deserves a soft place to land. Behind her, Gremlin still grumbles underneath her breath. Little curses about self-help quotes and positivity posters echo into her fur. But her claws stay sheathed, and her eyes flick back and forth between Stillmourne and the tiny crack spreading on that glass belly. She pretends to be annoyed, but her tail curls protectively at the edge of the clearing, a silent bouncer keeping new trouble out. Inside Stillmourne's sealed belly, the moth unfurls its paper-thin wings again. Once. Twice. This time, the flutter rattles the crack so slightly it hums through her bones, daring her ribs to remember how to house something alive and messy. Stillmourne doesn't rise like a hero in a bedtime fable. She doesn't split open in a theatrical glitter bomb for the swamp to ooh and ah at. She does the opposite of spectacle. She stays. She stays in her soft crater of moss, back bowed, paws warm and around a mug of crisis juice that steams just enough to scent the air with bitter hope. The single petal Gloomper gave her rests against her chest. A fragile metal pinned to fur that never asked to be brave, but was anyway. And so she stays, exactly halfway between fracture and freedom. She stays, and lets the moth inside her glass coffin do its weirdly tiny, trembling, interpretive grief dance. She stays, and the swamp, older than all of her secrets, watches and whispers to the roots, "This is how you change. Quietly, together, one breath at a time." Stay. In a swamp where so many run, or rot, or wrap themselves in so much glitter they forget how to feel underneath, one ancient cat did something braver than all the chaos and crown-wearing combined. She stayed. She didn't conquer her sadness like a shiny trophy. She didn't bury it back under the mud with all the old secrets. She didn't pretend her cracks were gone or that her ribcage wasn't trembling with every breath. She stayed, wrapped in moss, wrapped in breath, wrapped in tiny paw-offered mercies that ask for nothing in return except that she not vanish again tonight. And tonight, the quiet choice to stay was the loudest rebellion of them all. It hummed louder than sarsaparil's flames. It burned truer than any motivational calendar taped to a trembling tree. It promised the swamp, you don't have to break wide open in front of everyone to be free. Sometimes staying is enough. And the moth? Tucked behind the fragile glass and the fur and the ribs that forgot to house hope, it wasn't free. Not yet. But it pressed its wings again. It found more room between the cracks. It found more air in the hush that used to suffocate it. It fluttered, a secret heartbeat against old fear. It was moving. And so was she. Softly, slowly. Exactly the right speed for tonight. Exactly unfinished and exactly enough. So, sleepy heart, stay here too. No rush to fly. No rush to fix what grows softer in the dark. Stay. Breathe. Dream. Stay here, sleepy heart. If you forget how, come back. Bring your hidden moths. We keep watch. Subscribe for more swamp lullabies. Like if your eyelids are heavier than your secrets. Tell us in the comments which CareCat you trust to stand guard next time. For now, just stay. Just sleep. Good night.